Good morning and welcome to the new episode of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. The old saying is, some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some are those lucky on whom greatness is thrust. Now, if we replace great by being an embarrassment or a joke, then in which category would our Honorable Prime Minister fall? Was he born an embarrassment and became a joke on the world stage today? Did he achieve it by his actions, or was it thrust upon him? When the leader of a country becomes more of a joke on the world stage and embarrasses himself on the world stage, he embarrasses the whole country along with him. I do not support the policies of Justin Trudeau, but I definitely don't want him to be humiliated, to be insulted, because when he is humiliated, the whole country is humiliated, and it is his responsibility to ensure that he is not humiliated. I was shocked when just a few days back he was in New York. And in New York, his work was the annual love-in with the words despots, dictators, and a few democratically elected leaders called the United Nations General Assembly. Trudeau had set his heart on roping Canada into the world of wasteful make-believe, where we pretend that UN has real legitimacy or exists beyond the purpose of stroking the egos of the madmen who run the world's most regressive regime, and is working to get a temporary seat on the UN Security Council. The Council itself is a corrupt institution known for its politicalizing global conflicts and disproportionately singling out countries like Israel, which defend themselves against terrorism, while ignoring human rights violations in the neighboring countries. So much so that the Human Rights Commission has 19 members, out of which 13 are those which have a gross record of human rights violation. And Justin Trudeau was there. Well, that could have been accepted. But on the first very day of the General Assembly meeting, he managed to embarrass himself and also embarrass the country. Videos emerged of a meek Trudeau trying to have a word with the US President, Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was busy reading a document and he ignored Trudeau. And Trudeau, after being ignored, with a shame face, scurried away. You won't know about Trudeau's adventures, because the media, the lapdogs of the politicians, would not inform you. CTV only reported that Trudeau is working to re-establish Canada on the world stage, but didn't say a single word about the humiliation. Earlier, when he had gone to Duterte had asked him to keep shut when he asked the Philippines president to take care of the human rights in that country. Why is it happening? I'm not bothered about the media mimicking partisan liberal talking points, pretending that Canada has disappeared from the world stage during the 9 years run by Harper. Liberal hacks repeat their favorite arrogant talking points. Canada is back when Trudeau was elected. The platitude has withered away. 3 years, Trudeau has been making a fool of himself on the world stage and in the process making fool of Canada. Canadians should have seen him coming. The whole thing. given Trudeau's naive and immature policy comments prior to being elected. You remember, he admired China's basic dictatorship and he denied the existence of countries in the Baltic Sea. He said that Russia invaded Ukraine because Putin was upset over the Russian hockey team losing during the Winter Olympics. How stupid a statement that could be. That one country invades another and you say, well, they have lost the hockey match. So to compensate that, they are invading Ukraine and taking away Crimea. What utter bladder nonsense. And just when he was getting started as a prime minister, he issued an absurd statement praising Cuban dictator Fidel Castro, whom he described as larger-than-life leader who served his people for half a century. The statement read like a parody, and naturally, Trudeau was widely mocked from Arctic to Antarctica. On the trade front, before I come to NAFTA, which is the biggest disaster, not NAFTA, but the new one, USMCA, United States, Mexico, Canada. Before I come to that, look at that. He sabotaged a deal with Australia and New Zealand with a no-show to trade meeting in Vietnam. Trudeau went on much high trip to China to sign a free deal, but when he arrived, his labor and environment clauses were firmly rejected by Chinese, and Trudeau came back empty-handed. His government needlessly provoked Saudi Arabian social media, and just today, the then Canadian ambassador to Saudi Arabia admits that Twitter released by the Global Affair was a mistake, a blunder, and that led to the disaster. And it's a serious diplomatic rift which has caused a breach in the two countries. And still, another thing, the joke doesn't end here. Here, there's no diplomatic relationship, and Canada is the third largest producer of oil in the world, and yet Canada is importing billions, $16 billion worth of oil from Saudi Arabia every year. The same Saudi Arabia whom we condemn for human rights violation, with whom we have no diplomatic relations, who want us to apologize, and we are buying from them. And then the embarrassment during a junket to India that cost taxpayer at least $1.5 million. And the result, a humiliating headline through the international media, with the Guardian saying that Trudeau doesn't know what diplomacy is. And he was wearing garish, outlandish, ridiculous outfits, openly quoting the Khalistani extremists, and a convicted killer appearing at official events. Naturally, there was resentment. And then now compare that horrible trip with the trip that Jason Kenney took last week to India. Dignified, purposeful, talk to the investors, talk to the people. And now Andrew Scheer is there talking to the Prime Minister, talking to Foreign Minister, talking to the investors, talking to the captains of industry, and no drama. It's a serious business. When the Prime Minister or the leader of the opposition visit that country, when the prospective premiers visit that country, they are supposed to have a serious business and not jumping around, doing Bhangra dance, and things like that. Trudeau was a man hopefully thought to establish Canada as a progressive moral compass among the world leaders. He has established himself as a joke, full of flashy outfits, colorful socks, and preachy political correctness run amok, gone mad. And now come to the acme of hypocrisy, deceit, and dishonesty as far as NAFTA is concerned. For 1.5 years, the foreign minister, along with her team, were in and out of USA practically every week and staying there even for 4 or 5 days at a stretch. And what happens? We sign a deal where we are relegated to the 3rd place. Normally, all anagrams, as I said earlier, are alphabetical. So it should have been CAMUS. But the order is reversed, showing clearly the superiority of United States. Well, we could have lived with that. But the much appreciated advantages of a trade agreement for smaller countries are missing. All the benefits of a normal trade agreement are missing. What have we gained? We have not gained anything at all. We lost the supply system on the dairy industry to the tune of millions of dollars. Canadian market is open to the US market as far as the dairy is concerned, and the dairy industry is crying a lot. In fact, had Trudeau agreed to this deal at the beginning, we would not have faced excessive tariffs on steel, aluminium, and soft lumber. So we spent money, we wasted 1.5 years, and we are left with nothing except enhanced tariffs on 3 things, which could have been avoided had we signed in the beginning. Then they were crying a lot about the sunset clause, and now they've admitted to 6 years. It has been a giveaway. Everything is on the table, and there's no autonomy. Now, the worst thing is, I have discussed this issue earlier, so I don't want to discuss it in detail. But imagine, what have we done? This is for the first time that we have signed a deal with 2 countries, a trilateral deal, in which we say that in case we want to sign a deal with a 3rd country or the 4th country, apart from these 2 countries, we would seek permission from USA. You want to import something from China, US has to give the permission. And China is objecting to that, which they rightly should do. Imagine it. Basically, because of this deal, Canada is locked into the US orbit. The deal is very clear. They aim at preventing Canada and Mexico from doing business with China. I am referring to Article 32.10, 32.10. And I fail to understand how any sensible and patriotic Prime Minister or the Foreign Minister could have signed this agreement. They are guilty of betraying the interest of the country. It's almost treasonous, not exactly treasonous, but almost treasonous. And you are practically a colony of United States, if not the 51st state of USA. The article reads that you cannot negotiate a free trade agreement with a non-market country. And obviously that means China. But then one thing more. China is not the only non-market country. There are 39 more countries which are non-market countries. So if you want to do any deal with those 40 countries, you have to seek the permission of United States. Earlier, before we became independent, before the Treaty of Versailles was signed, and this fact came to my knowledge yesterday when I was discussing the issue with Mr. John Brassard, the chief whip of the Conservative Party, and MP from Barrie Innisfil. And this is the first time I learned a great thing. that Canada used to have all the orders okayed from the Buckingham Palace, basically 10 Downing Street. But in the Treaty of Versailles, our Prime Minister insisted that in future we will not do so, we will behave independently. What he gained in 1918 in the Treaty of Versailles, Trudeau and Christian Freeland gave it on a platter to the White House. The only thing is 10 Downing Street has been replaced by White House. To do anything in trade with those 40 countries, you need a permission. This is the biggest joke that could ever be there. The bottom line, that we are subservient culturally, technologically, and economically. And flag follows the trade, it is always said. So the section 32.1 of the new one amounts to an act of political dominance by the USA, which it blames for inserting languages. Some argue the Americans have a veto over Canada and Mexico for pursuing free trade with these market-free countries. Really? Flashy outfits, colorful zany socks, dancing around, making contortion movements are no substitute for intelligent diplomacy. And our Prime Minister, Honorable Justin Trudeau, and his government are in fact the betrayers of the country, apart from being a joke on the world stage. I call upon all the people to think again where we are going, where we were, and where we are today, and where we shall go in the next 1 year. I pause, not because I cannot say more, because it hurts me that my leaders are making a mockery of the freedom and exploiting the sentiments of the people, and in fact betraying the trust laid in them. The joke they are, but they're making the country an embarrassment globally. Thank you.